Blink Test Breaks at this point is a 10-minute blink and you'll miss it exhibition within a dormant retail unit within the Savoy Centre, a brutalist development with 2 floors of windowless retail space, comprising of 2 works, Muse de Silence Part 0 and the film Test Breaks at this point, which aimed to transpose paintings out of the White Cube Gallery context and into contemporary places, the still inhabited or the recently abandoned. The painting and the film contain temporal bleed-through from different epochs in a cut-and-paste, multitudinous approach which merge with the timeless kitsch of the environment it is set in. Muse de Silence Part 0 samples and interprets different points in art history, such as de Chirico's handling of symbolist subject matter, an allegorical dreamlike atmosphere using classical piazzas populated with spectral figures and shadows, knitting together purposefully distorted perspectives and tilted grounds with atmosphere of melancholy and uneasy menace. The motif of the red flag references mountain ringing in close proximity to a missile testing range in the Outer Hebrides and alludes to the current political dangers we face in the world at this time. Placing artworks within an alternative space is informed by heterotopias, particularly Michel Foucault's theories on heterotopias being worlds within worlds. The order of things traverses through periods of history to explain the epistemes, systems of thought and knowledge that define various epochs, namely the Renaissance, Classical Age and the Modern Age. Foucault summarises that painting imitated space and representation, whether in the service of pleasure or knowledge, and posited as a form of repetition. The figures within the painting are acting as a reflection of Foucault's theory on resemblance, whereby things scattered through the universe can answer one another. According to Foucault, emulation is a sort of twinship existing in things. I have attempted to interpret this concept in the figures by duplication, who resemble one another completely without it being possible for anyone to say which one brought its similitude to the other. In 2019, I visited Tate London to see Mark Leckie's O Magical Power of Bleakness, in which he built a to-scale replica section of the M53 that passes close to his childhood home, and beneath which he and his friends hung out. This motorway flyover made its first appearance as a scaled-down model in his film Dream English Kid, 1964 to 1999 AD 2015, from which this exhibition picks up. Leckie's spectral environment immerses us in a multimedia invocation of his childhood rites of passage. Leckie's films Ferrucci Made Me Hardcore and Dream English Kid formed a career-spanning cycle within the drama come installation of the exhibition. In a conversation with Leckie via Instagram, after I sent images of a replica bridge I made whilst undertaking GSA's portfolio programme, he explained how the bridge exhibition was so specifically UK, sharing the same characteristics as the UK components of the electronical, hauntological style of music such as burial and tricky. The concept of hauntology is explored in Mark Fisher's Ghost of My Life by examining UK artists that came to be labelled hauntological, were suffused with an overwhelming melancholy and were preoccupied with the way in which technology materialised memory. After explaining how I'd been researching Mark Leckie's work alongside the works of Paul Nash, trying to thread them together, he answered, "Guests were both in the romantic Desolate Landscapes Club." Alison Smithson's House of the Future is a progressive idea for a modern home that was made from plastic for the Daily Mail Ideal Home exhibition in London in 1956. It was made with the premise that this mass-produced, low-cost, prefabricated mode of living would become increasingly popular as the 20th century progressed. It is an interior-focused rectangle filled in with amorphously shaped walls. The abundance of curves within the structure informed my own approach to surfaces, a playability of materiality having a curved form that would create a sense of flow and movement for imagery to rest upon. House of the Future is a grand experiment in the use of plastics, new materials and new ways of communicating. and begins to inform my interests in heterotopias by the concept of hypothetical projects that are projected forward into a future scenario. Blink test breaks at this point, as many of the key terms colliding that have informed the backbone to my research: ontology, nostalgia mode, failed mourning, consumer society, postmodernism, pop, non-places, pluralism, and much more. The title Blink is an example of deconstructing words from American publications such as the New York Times and New York Post after a recent trip to New York I made, and I found it interesting as an outsider the different ways they were handling the narrative of the conflict between Palestine and Israel. Blink is a dismantling of the Secretary of State's name, Antony Blinken, and the subtitle Test Breaks at this point is taken from a sign as you approach the missile testing range back home in Outer Hebrides to test brakes on your car, and since childhood I have found the instruction to carry a greater philosophical significance. I approached Martin Holt, the Savoy Centre manager, sometime in December, in which he asked for a proposal to be sent over, and just after New Year he asked if I would drop in for a chat regarding the proposal. Initially he seemed reticent, but after some discussion he gave the green light to use one of the empty retail units on the ground floor. He informed me that he was initially reluctant, but after seeing the proposal, which highlights many of the strands in my work are inextricably linked to the islands, he became more accommodating, as he is a native himself of one of the inner Hebridean islands. The exhibition was set up on the morning of the 15th of January and subsequently advertised on Instagram that it would be available to view for 10 minutes. It was interesting to eavesdrop on comments made by people who were part of the Savoy walking by, such as, "At least the space is being used for something," and to gauge the looks of people moving by. Initially, the exhibition would have included sound from the film comprising of loops and the visual repetitions and tracks that I've made as a solo musician. After setting up, I came to realise that the natural ambience of the centre, the colliding of conversations and radio-friendly songs such as Nothing Compares to You by Sinead O'Connor added to the strangeness and unorthodoxness of the setup. Blink Test Breaks at this point is ultimately an experimental project in transposing artworks from my studio and into a contemporary place. Like James Joyce's Ulysses, I have attempted to explore a stream of consciousness approach to artworks and placing them in an everyday environment, which references my own interaction with history by using disparate elements such as the multitudinous cut and paste handling of imagery, repetition, glitches, film and structural elements, suggesting that movement and time is both cyclical and evolutional.